What is your message to the Prime Minister about how you guys are going to get reelected?
Well, it's about listening to Canadians, right? It's about hearing where they are right now and understanding where they are right now. Certainly. Oh, sorry. How about I lift this up a bit? I'm a bit taller than Anita. Um, yeah, I mean, look, so I've been on mat leave for the last 7 months, and I'm happy to be back now. But I've been out in my community and listening to folks in Burlington and around Southern Ontario in particular. And what I would say is that, I think there's still this feeling of unease amongst Canadians. Inflation is going down, interest rates have started to come down, and that's a welcome relief. But, people are still finding it difficult, with paying for groceries and mortgages that are being renewed. And so it's really understanding, I think, where Canadians are at this moment in time and listening to them and reflecting on that. And that's exactly what we're doing over these couple of days in Halifax is, reflecting on what we've heard and what we've gathered over the summer and thinking about what that means in terms of bringing forward policies that are going to respond to the needs of Canadians today.
So that's exactly the answer the Prime Minister's been giving. But if you
Oh, good, he's listening. So
if you look at the polls, the desire for change that voters seem to feel is very powerful. And yet all I hear ministers here saying is continue to do the work you've been doing and delivering what you said you would do 9 years ago. So I'm wondering what is your prescription for how you address that appetite for change in the electorate?
I think that's a great question. I think the question too, is it change for change's sake, or is it because we need to be doing something differently? When I talk to Canadians and when I talk to people in my constituency, for example, when I hear from seniors about dental care, they like that. They want that to continue. They recognize that if the Conservatives were to get into government, that probably will not continue. I was in a mom and baby yoga class, right? And I was talking to the people in my class. Many of them are getting the Canada Child Benefit, right? That is helping them with the high cost of living. Many of them are taking advantage of the 18-month parental leave that we put in place, and almost all of them are accessing the lower child care costs. They've found a space and they're getting those lower child care costs. They want those things to continue. They don't want those things to go away. And the question is, what is the change that Canadians are looking for? It's not those changes in policies, because those are making a real tangible impact for Canadians. But there are things that need to be different. We need to continue to work to bring down the cost of living, to make sure that there are affordable homes for Canadians. And those are the things that I think it's incumbent upon us to demonstrate that we're hearing what matters to Canadians right now, and we're demonstrating that we can make the changes that are going to impact their lives in a positive way. And I think, it's normal. We've been in government for 9 years. That's a long time. And we've done a lot in that period of time. But now we need to show Canadians what's next. And part of what we're doing here, part of what we're going to be doing in Nanaimo, is having those conversations about what we've heard from Canadians and how we're demonstrating that we're going to continue to listen to them, but we're also going to be able to make the policy changes and implement new policies that are going to have a positive impact on their lives.
Yeah, that's why you keep raising the carbon tax.
Morning, Minister. JP Tasker from CBC News. How confident are you that the NDP supply and confidence agreement will hold until the end of June as originally planned? And what do you have to do legislatively to keep them on side?
Well, we've signed the agreement till the end of June, so as far as I'm concerned, that's something that has been signed and agreed to, and so I'm going to be working on that premise, and I have a great working relationship with Peter Julian, my NDP counterpart. And we're going to, we have some things that are still left in the SACA to move forward on. Of course, we're going to keep pushing in that direction, but I'm fairly confident that that agreement is a good agreement, it's a strong agreement, and we'll get to the end of June.
Yeah.
Speaking of the U.S., you might have seen that the Democrats, of course, swapped out their leader for someone new, and Kamala Harris is enjoying kind of a wave of popularity, and she's surged in the polls and is now competitive with Donald Trump, and there's a lot of enthusiasm among party members. Have you taken anything away from that for the Canadian example? Does that give you pause and make you think maybe we should do something here and swap out Trudeau and go for somebody who could revive the Liberal Party fortunes here?
Good question. Look, Canada and the U.S., although there are similarities, there are a lot of differences. And, just because the Democrats do something in the United States does not then mean that we should be doing that here in Canada as Liberals. What I do think is that progressive voters are looking for that continued hope, right? That continued ability to make progress, advance how we are building a inclusive and progressive society and economy. And I think, what our job as Liberals is to demonstrate to Canadians that that's the path that we're on, and that's the path that we must continue on, because we do face headwinds from, to be honest, some pretty extreme right-wing views in our own country right now. And so let's make sure that we are putting forward that plan, that agenda, that vision for Canada that I believe Canadians want to choose.
Your extreme left-wing vision.
Mr. Mackenzie Gray with Global News. Just going back to the answer they gave to Tonda, you outlined some of your greatest political hits. You're talking about child care, dental care, child benefit. Is it, in your estimation, that this is just a communications problem for the Liberals, that you need to sell these things you've already done better, or that fundamental political change needs to happen to get those voters that you used to have back on side?
I think there's a little bit of both, right? I think on the one hand, it's recognizing that these things don't just happen, right? You have to have a government that is committed to improving the lives of Canadians in real and tangible ways, to get things like childcare, to get things like the Canada Child Benefit, and to get things like dental care. We know that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party of Canada and their members of Parliament are against those things, right? Even though they voted for childcare, if you actually listen to their speeches in the House of Commons, they basically equate it with socialism and, talk about the fact that if they were to get elected, they would make it more conservative.
Yes.
I don't really know what that means, because when I speak to Canadian parents, they like having access to a quality space, and they like having access to an affordable space. So yes, we have more work to do, right? We absolutely have more work to do to build more spaces and to make sure that it's accessible to every Canadian child that needs a space. But throwing out the system is not a solution.
Yes, it's broken.
On the other hand,
you broke it.
It's about making sure that we are thinking about what the future of Canada looks like and providing that vision of a progressive future for Canadians and enabling them to make that choice. So it's both. It's, about us talking about the things that we're doing and talking about them in a way that is meaningful for Canadians and that connects with them. But it's also about listening and responding to the needs of Canadians and sharing what our vision for the future is.
You are so out of touch.
Last question.